Hello, Riven mains and Yasuo mains alike.
What are you doing?
I'm the Nightwing. This is JTH. So for all you new people that came to the channel, he's the person. He's been working a lot. So we agreed that if things in like predictions and news videos need to come out for you sooner, that I would just do them. But I'll eventually ask his opinions anyway. So. Okay, so he hasn't got a chance to give you his opinions on MSI yet. I personally think he's watched the video before. I think that this is one of the worst MSIs I've ever seen in my entire league existence. It's only been out for 4 years, but I think this is one of the worst MSIs ever. MSI was terrible. So far, it's been pretty bad. So I'm gonna actually ask him what he thinks about the MSI so far. He's adjusting me to make me look darker, actually, aren't you?
It was dark. We couldn't see you anymore.
All right, so let's start really small. What did you think about the play-in stage?
Are you talking
about the emerging
cards?
Yeah,
I mean,
the wild cards.
Again, Vega squad had a lot of when they took away the Heimerdinger from what's it called? What is that Japanese team?
Detonation Focus Me.
Detonation Focus Me. I think that was one of the smarter plays, and it showed that they're versatile. And that was the only smart thing they did the rest of the tournament. It gave me way too much false hope. I expected a lot.
Their jungler was pretty good. Antic.
Yeah, they had they had good things going for them. Their coaching staff isn't stupid. It's one of the better things about the wildcard regions is their coaching staffs are significantly improving throughout the years. The worst part about it is their players aren't. Like this to an extent they are. Like again, they usually now they have one world class player on their team.
Like Shie, Audi will be on a certain team.
You keep saying Shie, and I don't agree with that.
He doesn't like Shie or Audi.
Okay, but I do agree, like again, a lot of them are up and coming. I think a lot of the teams are getting better as the time progresses. But to an extent, I also was not too impressed with anybody. Like even the Vietnam teams were obviously a step below the rest of the regions. I know you're laughing because of what they did to G2, but still.
No. Oh man, he's just throwing that little shade in there. I thought 1907 Fenerbahce was the best team in the whole play-ins thing. I really thought they should have been in the actual main group stage. It's really sad that they choked in that very last game.
I think they were the third best team in the group stage, to be honest. I still think they were not as good as
because they were better than the Russian team, right?
I don't think they were better than Vega Squadron, and I don't think they were better than
Fangvu.
Fangvu.
But they went 1-1 though in the group stage. They actually looked very even, all things considered.
Like I get it. Fenerbahce had the worst group to be in. They should have been in the other group. You should put like the stronger
Fenerbahce
regions.
Actually, if they were in Group B, they probably would have got out.
Yeah, the Vietnam teams and the TCL should always be in separate groups because the fact those are like the two strongest wildcard regions.
He also said Group A wasn't considered the group of death.
Well, I mean, there was Japanese teams. I think the top two teams were obviously strong, but the bottom two teams were terrible.
Oh, it was Bombers and it was like the one with the elephant. I forgot his name.
Yeah, but all around, I think that the play-in stages showed something.
I thought they were atrocious. They were worse than other years' play-in stages. Other years' play-in stages were better.
I don't know if I agree with that fully. I mean, again,
last year's play-in stages were actually pretty good for the 2018 World. And it was 2017 World MSI looked pretty good. All right, so that's play-in stage. What did you think about Team Liquid and Fangwu Buffalo?
Are you talking about
the series?
The series?
The first series they played.
I mean, obviously, Fangwu Buffalo was pretty much outclassed. I mean, I don't think Fangwu Buffalo is capable of competing with the top regions. But Team Liquid obviously showed that they're not capable of being a top region fully. I mean, I like them. I like Team Liquid's playstyle to an extent because it's fun to watch.
Now, we were talking about that in his car because we're all real cool like that, you know. Did you take any light into the series like a lot of people were doing? Like they were making it seem like Team Liquid were really struggling in the series?
I don't think Team Liquid struggled that much. I think people like to exaggerate because Team Liquid's playstyle is so slow that it kind of looks like they're not pushing their advantages. But they never really fully lost grasp of the games. I think that I do enjoy, like again, Team Liquid's playstyle is more so macro-oriented. But it's too slow to ever become like effective because they try and wait until the team fight pans out, and that's just not gonna happen against the top tier teams, which is obviously the case as to why it turned out like this.
Then it was the Fangwu Buffalo, not Fangwu Buffalo. It was the Flash Wolves versus Vega Squadron series.
That was not fun to watch at all.
Oh God, that was terrible.
That was not fun to watch at all. The first game, Vega Squadron completely outclassed them.
And you're like, man, it's gonna give me hope.
And then the rest of the games, Flash Wolves just beat them down with pure like mechanical skill.
It was literally just it was like back towards season 5. It was like just your laners beat you.
There was nothing in it. Like again, it was fun. It's fun to watch mechanical outplay sometimes, but when you're just stupid and you're just not mindlessly running at them, just killing them, some like early game aggressive plays from the jungle. That's all that happens. Like there's nothing going on.
But then Vega Squadron get another chance with Foam About Buffalo to actually get into the main stage.
See, the thing about it, I don't think Vegas Squadron was as bad as they played in that series. I feel like that was their worst play throughout the entire tournament. I do think they could have put a fight against Fangu Buffalo.
Their last few games were actually pretty good.
Yeah, I feel like they should have at the very least done better than they did. I do think they're the better team. I just didn't show up, especially since, I mean, honestly, Fangu Buffalo is a great, like, pretty decent team all around. I think they're not going to be the best team coming into next split. I think that Levi might give Gam a run because it really did seem like what they were lacking mostly was that star player. But for the most, like, again, I'd like to see something more than just like jungle aggression out of these teams. Like Fangu Buffalo had a strong bot lane actually. I do think their bot lane
Palette and Big Coral, right?
Yeah,
That's their names.
They're actually pretty decent. You saw them smash. They smashed G2's bot lane, but for the most part, I'd like.
Is that really a bot lane?
Well, I guess. I'd like to see something else besides that. Like I think it shouldn't rely mostly on jungle because jungle seems like it's the style for Vietnam. Like it seems like that's what they develop mostly into. You see SOFM who went over to China, Levi. We have the new Melodious. Like there's a lot of junglers that like the most notable players out of Vietnam are always junglers.
No, but there were Zeros. But the problem with Zeros is that his team doesn't do what people who have star players like Zeros should be. They don't even play around them.
Well, Zeros wasn't consistently top tier, in my opinion. I think he had a few off games that kind of threw me through a loop as to how good I thought he was.
But he's supposed to be like their strongest suit, and they weren't even playing around him, though. That was weird.
I still think Melodious is the strongest player on the team. Especially when he's on point, I think he's a pretty good, like, all-around good player.
And after that, Fungal Buffalo, they beat Vegas Squadron 3-2, and then the group stage starts. And, well, I've seen group stage already because, obviously, I've been giving prediction videos out. So, we'll do double round robin. We'll do the first half and we'll do the second half. So what did you think about the first half of it?
Yeah, we'll go with
Did the G2 versus SKT game surprise you?
You know what I want to put out about G2?
I said they're gonna beat SKT.
Well, I think that. Okay, good job. Very good job.
Thank you. He's gonna give me a pat on the back.
I'm not.
Okay.
So I think the most thing that comes out of this tournament is that G2 only fully approached the MSI thing, trying to focus mostly on a way to counteract SKT. I think that most of their time, like
in scrims,
most of their times in scrims, most of their strategies, it seemed like they had the most effective strategies against SKT. It seemed like they developed strategies specifically for SKT, and then when they went against other teams, we didn't see that. We didn't see anything specific for Team Liquid, which maybe they didn't need anything.
They probably thought they could just play standard.
They tried to play standard against IG, and they got smashed.
Wonder, what did you think about Wonder trying the Vayne top for the first time?
I think Vayne top is a terrible choice. I don't like the champion in general. Like, the champion's strong. Like, after their nerfs, I don't think it's that strong. But in general, I don't think it's a strong top laner unless you put up 2 secondary tanks around the map, which they didn't.
They really didn't. They gave... Caps had LeBlanc, and Yankos was like... What was he? He was like, I forgot his name. He was like Olaf or something. Yeah, that's not really a tank past like 15 minutes.
It's more so tanky towards the later half of the game, but Olaf falls off way too hard.
Yeah.
For the most part, like, what I disliked about this game, though, was, like, well, what I disliked about the first round robin was, about G2 mostly, is it seems like, even though they seem like, we saw them do well against ASKT, which is incredible.
So wait, does that mean that, because you guys know, obviously, watching this, Europe 2-0 Korea, does that mean Europe is like second best region?
I'm not gonna say anything until best of 5 comes out because it did seem like Cheese Strat specifically picked towards SKT's weaknesses, which I don't think are gonna be effective in the best of 5. I don't think they had the better players all around still. I do think that most of it comes off the back of I don't think Teddy is playing as well as he should be. If anybody says, I've heard a lot of people saying that Teddy isn't as good as people predicted, and if you say that, you're just stupid. I'm sorry, that's just reality. I hate when like people who didn't.
I mean, to be fair, I give them the benefit of the doubt. It is Clid's, Teddy's, and as first international tournament, nerves really can get to you.
I don't want to give nerves because again, a lot of people have like.
Or he might be one of those players that are good domestically and he's not good internationally. It just happens to be that way sometimes.
Well, I don't understand how that happens to be because if there's better or worse competition, or that competition's the same level, which I would say at the very least it's the same level. It's not substantially better.
This competition's like pretty much worse than what it was in Korea, I imagine.
I don't know if I would say that at this point because Korea fell off a cliff at the end, but I don't want to give G2 insane amounts of credit, nor do I think that I'm too convinced that they can win a series against SKT, but I do like their ability to function a strategy around stronger or at the very least more competitive teams, because that is definitely a stronger team than what they saw in Europe. But at the same time, SKT is, I think, again, gonna develop these cheese strats might not work as well towards this best of 5. So I'm gonna have to see. I wouldn't even say it's cheese strats, more so as it's definitive play styles. Again, their jungle pressured the right points around the map. Jankos played insanely well in both of those series.
Klit said in an interview they still want to play the old Korean style, but kind of tune it to what the new style is like for League. Like, I don't think that can work, though.
It can definitely work. Like, again,
now with their drafting was horrible.
Their drafting was not the problem. I think they got out-drafted, which is another big point I want to bring up about G2. Their drafting phase was incredible against SKT.
They banned out all Faker's powerful carries. They banned out Lee Sin. That was the thing. Klid is a monster on Lee Sin.
Klid actually played Lee Sin one of the first game, I believe.
Did he play Lee Sin? He did, yeah.
I'm pretty sure he played Lee Sin.
After that, people just forgot to ban it against him because during the game, the only thing that he is basically the only thing that got SKT wins at a certain point. If SKT didn't have Klid, it was looking like they were probably going to hit like 4th in the group stage.
But I do like G2. I think G2 is going to be one of the stronger teams.
When they go back to Europe, they're still going to be number 1.
I don't know about that. Again,
really?
No, because again, they're like what I've said about it earlier. I do think Fnatic is the up and coming team, and I do actually think they're going to take the number 1 spot over.
What do you think about the Perks and Mickey bot lane internationally now?
I think they're probably the worst. I would say the worst bot lane in the major regions, maybe in comparison, maybe Flash Wolves is, but even then, I would say Flash Wolves probably hasn't beat out. But they've probably lost every single one of the laning phases almost. I think their stats don't show it because again, they do have the prevalent stats.
They have the most deaths for bot lanes
at the same time, they might have pretty substantial amounts of gold or something.
They have the most deaths for bot lanes.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting focused the most because they're the weakest point. But at the same time, I do think a lot of their gold comes from these leads that are transitioned from the laning phase. They're not forcing the bot lane to be in a laning phase too often. So once they get out of the laning phase, like these negative laning phase or gold differences or the amount of jungle pressure they got around bot lane is negating how much gold they might have lost from laning.
And then the next point I bring up is, was this the worst MSI? I
don't think it's the worst MSI at all. I think
this is pretty bad.
It's in terms of play maybe, but in terms of entertainment, this was insanely fun to watch. I mean,
I'd say like entertainment wise, it captured people's eyes, but it was really predictable. Team Liquid got out of groups by default because the other 2 teams were just that much worse than them. The reason why they got out of groups was because Flash Wolves lost Maple, Sword Art, and Karsa. If Maple, Sword Art, and Karsa were still on Flash Wolves, Team Liquid probably doesn't even get out of the group. I'd imagine they don't because it's just like Doublelift gets out of groups finally. So how did you feel about his curse getting broken?
He's went to 1 MSI. Or 2 MSIs, right?
Yeah.
2 MSI. I mean,
and like 4 worlds or whatever, something like that.
But again, it wasn't that big a deal. I mean, it wasn't a curse.
But I think he got out of it because the competition was just like everybody below Team Liquid was just that much worse than Team Liquid.
I think the 5th team, which would be Vietnam this year, was probably worse too. Actually, I think GAM was stronger in terms of just their ability to draft around make weird drafts happen, and their jungler was stronger too. And I think they had. They didn't have a stronger top laner, obviously, but for the most part, I do think GAM was stronger.
You had Flash Wolves who, I don't know, they should... So here's the thing. What's a bigger problem for Flash Wolves? Baron calls or doing anything else?
I don't know, man.
Those were the worst Baron... I thought Misfits Barons were bad, but after seeing Flash Wolves do Baron, I was like, oh my goodness, you probably need to stop touching the objective.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess I don't... I don't think there's anything wrong with the game, watching the games in general, because there's a lot of action going on.
I just think the game inside looked very. It wasn't that the gameplay was bad. It was more like the games were. Most of them were just one-sided stomps.
If you want my honest opinion, again, the league right now doesn't function in a way that you can come back from a comeback because they took away the bounty system. Obviously, the turreting plating makes losing laning snowball in somebody's favor, and by the time Like all these things are functioning around you. If you're behind, you're going to be losing, and you can't come back from a loss if it's substantial enough. Like it.
It's not like back in the day where you could fall down like 10k gold and make a comeback.
Essentially, you win the early game and you win the game. You can't come back from it. That's why Korea's struggling so much, because their slow-paced game or so slow methodical game is not possible, because if like EU or Korea or China just makes an aggressive early game play and they start losing the game, it snowballs into a loss after that, and you can't really stop it once it gets too far.
Now, we talked about IG a lot, like off camera. I personally thought that the Shy and Rookie, most of the team, I think Ning was tryharding, I think Jackie Love was tryharding, and I think Balin was tryharding. I don't think Shy and Rookie were really tryharding.
Shy and Rookie were definitely trying their best in every
certain games, I would say.
I would say in a lot of the games.
Like, he chose Victor Top one game, and I was like, that's not... He's trolling. Victor Top is terrible. But, there were some games where he did lose. He did lose, but overall, IG, they win one team fight, and they win the game. Rookie said in an interview that they don't really take the bottom teams too seriously, and they just kind of just want to have fun in the best of ones. In best of fives, we'll see how strong they really are, because those are more concrete answers in a best of five. But are we really going to get that much concrete answers in a best of five against TL?
Well, what I'm going to say about IG is this meta suits them perfectly. I don't think Team Liquid's not going to put up a fight at all. I don't think they're going to take a game off, because again, IG is actually a good team. On top of the fact, Team Liquid's too slow paced, so it's a counteractive playstyle.
Plus, our players are just so much substantially better.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much.
Double If and Core JJ. Oh yeah. So before we're gonna preview the best of five series, not in this video, but the next part of the group stage was obviously, so the story of the tournament was also G2 going 2-0 against Fanghu Buffalo. Like
0-2.
0-2, yeah. Because that'd be the dream.
Again, like, let's think about it. Their playstyle was centralized around trying to neutralize stronger teams. They drafted around trying to stop SKT, which successfully they did, but these drafts weren't really well suited against Fanghu Buffalo, who doesn't have the same similar playstyle. It seemed like they were kind of one-dimensional in that aspect, that they didn't have a way to stop faster-paced teams. Like, it seemed like they're the fast-paced team, and they assumed they'd always be the faster-paced team. So if anybody was more fast-paced than them, they fell behind. It again, I've said it a lot, I don't think G2 is able to come back from a deficit.
The bot lane is just too much of a liability. Well, Perks is... I would say I think Mickey played fine. I think the Perks himself at an ADC is just, like, holding the team back.
I don't even... Like, if we go about the first game, they just got stomped in a 2v2. They both were pretty substantially outclassed by the Fanghu Buffalo bot lane, which is surprising. Wouldn't say that's a world-class bot lane, but I mean, whatever.
Oh, God.
I think that G2 is going to be reliant on their top side, because top, mid, and jungle are all completely world-class players, but I think that the bot lane is going to keep them from what I would say is complete international success. I think they're, like, again, along with Invictus Gaming, they're succeeding so much because of the lack of ability to come back from a deficit right now, is making, again, a lot of the team, if they can cheese their way into a stronger early game victory, which can... Again, if it snowballs, they have the players to pull it off. And that's what this meta suits just mechanically good players right now.
That could be a good or bad thing, depending.
It's good in terms of fun to watch. It's not even that fun to watch if you can't come back, because comebacks are fun to watch.
But comebacks are only as good as the team that's winning is willing to throw.
No, not always. I mean, again, you can be forced into side, like, if you don't know how to manage waves as well as the opposing team, you cannot win. I mean, you cannot close out the game properly. You have to be able to, like, shove the waves fast enough so you can actually get a push going.
And SKT, the story of the tournament was SKT starting off really, really slow. So, and then making a massive comeback, going 4-0 in the last few games. Of course, it was strength of schedule too, because their last games were what? Fanghu Buffalo, TL, and Flash Wolves, IG.
Yeah,
that 9. They almost went 10-0. It's crazy.
It really did show that. That was a game that I'm gonna say Invictus Gaming did actually try in that game. No one can. That was not in a relaxed. We already clinched in. That was a complete try hard Invictus Gaming that lost to SKT.
Yeah, they weren't going with no Victor Top that game. They went with an actual comp they thought would win.
I think that honestly, I think that shows how much SKT's really trying to adapt to this meta, because they are trying. I mean, they just weren't able to. Griffin played like the style that would suit this meta.
I think they would have really given IG a run for the money if they actually played.
If they played as well as they did at the beginning of the year,
yeah.
I agree, but not now.
Do you think that Khan and Faker were overrated coming into the event? Khan, Faker, and Teddy, because they were like people's
I think
top five
I don't think
coming in.
Anybody who actually was fully trying to rate players did not overrate Faker because no one put him in the top 5, top 10.
We put him at like, I think 8th, I think.
I said to watch. I didn't say he was the top 10 player.
I would have put him at like 8th or something like that because he didn't really show a lot in the split.
I think if he didn't show a lot, he shouldn't be ranked that high. I don't think he should be in the top 10.
Because he only played Lissandra, LeBlanc, Galio most of the split.
If we have to rank players now, I do think he's one of the top mid laners because he played he looked incredible.
Yeah, he played great.
Like I think at the beginning he started off moderately okay, but towards the end of the tournament he looked like, and especially that last game he looked insane.
Then you have Clid. Now a lot of people would say for the group stage who will be a better MVP, Clid or Ning. I would say Ning.
Well, I think Ning is just playing better than everybody at the tournament right now.
And then you have, like, I mean, I understand because Ning's MVP wouldn't, because usually for MVP, people would choose players on a worse team. So technically, Clid would be considered an MVP because he would be the most valuable player to SKT. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Ning has a lot of winning lanes. That's the thing.
I mean, to an extent, I agree, but he is one of the people that's pushing these lanes to win.
So what did you think about Double Lift and Core JJ?
They were not as impressive as I had hoped.
I feel bad for Core JJ.
I mean, they got Fogos to mass him out, like most.
But they lost 2v2 a lot.
Well, to not many teams.
I mean, they lost 2v2 just in general. They weren't, like, sometimes they weren't even getting focused. Like, they just lost
who
sometimes.
Did they lose to? Like,
they lost
the top teams?
They lost to Flashwell's bot lane.
I mean, one time.
They lost to SKT's bot lane both times.
They didn't lose to Fonku Buffaloes, which is something G2 can't say.
You just want to just keep throwing it in there, don't you?
I really wish G2 had a better bot lane because they'd look incredible.
Well, you maybe they don't have perks.
Fine. If they got Forgiven on that team, I'd be so happy.
Oh god, that would be really scary.
I'm just saying, G2 is such an exciting team. They're fast paced. They really adaptable. Well, not adaptable, but they really did find a strategy against SKT, which is kind of impressive.
NA versus EU.
That's not even a contest.
So, theoretically, this is the answer I give people is that it's actually if you look at the record that LoL Esports has for like stats, it's actually very, very close. Back in 2014, 2017 World Championship, before Fnatic and Immortals played that game where Fnatic went on that miracle run, the scoreline was 24-22. EU was favored 2 games. So it's actually more close than people actually give it credit for in terms of scoreline, but in actually player wise, it's not close at all.
Let's make a realistic approach to this. Is for once, EU's had international success.
Yeah, that's the thing though.
Consistently making it to the semifinals of Worlds is something that NA can't say.
Yeah. I will say that one time, 2016, that was like luck of the draw, but that's only the time I'll say that. Overall, they went 1-1. People got the matchup they wanted. They wanted to see Team Liquid versus G2. What were your thoughts on that one?
Team Liquid versus G2. I mean, Team Liquid.
The first time around wasn't that bad.
Team Liquid should not have taken a game off them. There's no reason for that. There's no reason for that. There's absolutely. First of all, counterplay style. You have better laners.
Yeah, that's sad.
Caps literally just sucked. That was horrible.
Okay.
That was literally the worst performance at MSI.
That was his worst performance I've ever seen.
The worst performance. That was the worst performance.
No. There's Null. Null's played bad.
I don't agree with that.
Null's played really bad.
Caps died like 10 times, dude.
Null was getting carried by his team because he was just that bad.
Caps couldn't even get carried by a world-class top and jungle because he was feeding so hard.
That was on one Corki. Why did he use Corki mid?
I'm just saying.
What was Corki mid doing?
The most impressive thing he did that game was the BM at the beginning of the game when he shook his tail, and then everything else was downhill.
Or when he chose to dive the tower against LeBlanc with Ignite up.
I'm just like Caps was horrible that game.
Oh yeah. What did you think about Xmithy? He was the most talked about player at the event.
The reason you talked about so much was because he was terrible. He was literally non-existent.
He turned on his brain for one game.
Let's think about the reason this game is so fun. Like it functions around early game wins. You win the early game, you win the game, which means jungles have to gank early. Yet he didn't do it. He didn't do that. Like he tried to not power farm, but he really did try and extend the pathing of the lane, like jungle, into more camps in comparison to more ganks, which is stupid. Like you really do need to, if you want your team to win, which I'll give him credit. That last game against G2, he was literally better. He was a better jungler than Yankos for one game.
See, that's the thing is that like his style just isn't working anymore. It's just not good because there's a factor in There was that one game I remember. He played Hecarim. He ran into. Okay, so he's at this. Where's that scuttle appear up? It appears where the dragon quadrant is. Instead of running back to mid lane, he runs in between the Galio and the Zaya. How does that make sense? How does that make sense? And so like he runs to the CC or he can run to back. Okay, I'm gonna blow my brain out for this. Oh my god, I'm gonna die. Okay, yeah, he's just because he's power farming. And it's just not working because he's just getting counter jungle too much. And then when he's getting counter jungle, now he's super far behind. Now he's far behind. His lanes are behind. Now they're just losing. So going into... I would feel like you don't need to replace Impact anymore. I feel like you just kind of need to replace him with Dardoch again.
I mean, Impact, again...
was the best player on CL. What a surprise.
I will give slight credit to Impact because... First of all,
he hates everybody.
No, first of all, the reason that no one focused... I mean, the reason Impact was so successful is because no one cared enough to focus him. Not a single one of the teams made any effort to stop Impact's...
They thought he was the weak link of the team.
He is the weak link of the team. I don't care how much... Like, again, he's a strong player, and if he can get out of the laning phase, he's fine. He's good at team fighting. He's a good all-around player because he's one of the smarter top laners in the tournament. But again, that doesn't translate well if your mechanics are that poor. I think that, again, he's coming out of these laning phases. A lot of the teams don't care enough to focus him because even when he does get a lead or at least goes even, he's not that impressive. He needs to be more of a threat if I want him to.
He's not like a Broken Blade or a Licorice where when he gets a lead, he just wins the game for his team. Because even the games he got the leads for his team, he didn't win them either.
He can't because he's not capable. Honestly, he's just not capable of transitioning a lead into a win. He's just a very capable person who's able to facilitate in team fights and be that.
It's more just like a stable top laner.
That's what I'm saying. He's good at being a big, strong dude in a team fight. That's his biggest strength. I think he played well at the tournament. I think he stepped it up, but that's all I can say. I don't think it's as much as people say.
God, you're just a big old hater on him.
I'm sorry.
You hated on Top Die? I remember when he could only say Top Die. Now he can speak full sentences. Man, our boy has come far.
That was literally just because he didn't know how to say that specific phrase. He was still able to speak English.
That's weird though. Did you think so? Like the Western mid laners facing off against Rookie and Faker.
None of them were really capable of competing, which is kind of sad.
See, it's the thing that like I made the argument that they can face the Eastern mid laners to stop the best ones. Like they could, like Jensen would have a chance up against not Chovy. Let's not give him that choice. Jensen would be fine against Pawn. Jensen would be fine against the rest of the LCK mid laners, not Faker.
We've seen. I wouldn't even say the rest of them. He would lose against Chovy. I don't think he'd do well against Pawn, to be honest.
Who I forgot the other there.
Talking about, I think
who is Damwon's mid laner? It's Naguri, right? No, that's their top laner.
Naguri is the top laner.
Hoyt is their mid laner, right?
What?
I think Hoyt's their mid laner. No, that's their ADC. Whatever that mid laner is.
Grace is for Jinair.
Yeah, he would beat Grace no matter what.
I don't agree with that. Grace has been pretty good this year.
I thought he would just clap Grace.
He would definitely not clap him, but I think he might slightly.
He'd be okay. He'd be better than BDD just for this split though.
Yeah.
So I feel like Captain Jensen are definitely world class players. It's just not gonna show against like the best mid laners in the world. Like Rookie, did he perform better than Faker?
No.
He played better. I feel like he played better.
I actually don't agree with that. I don't think Rookie played that well this tournament.
Really?
He had a few good games.
You just hate Rookie in general.
I do. No, I don't hate Rookie at all.
He hates Darshan. He wanted Darshan removed. He hates Piglet. Piglet should be removed from Clutch.
Oh, you start talking like that. All right.
Shut your whore mouth.
Oh, jeez, Joseph.
God. All right, so that's been pretty much it. So he hadn't got a chance to talk about MSI so far. He
did this because I complained. Hey, you did 7 videos with that.
No, that's not true because he said if there's news, get it out before we don't lose views.
Views on what? You did predictions.
Oh.
Predictions are not news.
You just didn't... Because see, like, if I had said G2 was going to 2-0 SKT, you'd have called me insane.
You didn't predict a 2-0, did you?
That second time around, I was like, they're going to beat SKT again.
Well, no, that's not surprising.
That's just luck.
After you see the first time,
you're probably like... No, because I said going in, they have a strong top side. If they win through top side, they're going to win the game. Because Mata and Teddy do play slow.
I mean, fair enough. I think they can win, but saying they're going to win was kind of surprising to me.
I know. No, I've seen these games.
You can't... The draft phase, if they played how they played in EU, they wouldn't have won.
Oh, no, it's no way.
They drafted extremely well, though. I have to give them credit for that.
I like the way they drafted around their strengths, playing around like Elise and stuff like that.
I really think it's just straight up drafting SKT's weaknesses more so than that.
Or did Zephyr just give them like 3 losing lanes?
I don't know, man.
And what do you think about the fastest game in international history?
Well, it's kind of crazy that they even managed to lose the second game when they were actually trying after that.
It makes the first game not even matter at that point.
SKT adapted insanely well towards the later half of the split.
Now, why did they try Sonataric? What? They had never played Sonataric. I watched every single SKT game.
It doesn't matter if you've played it. You probably practice every single type of meta in existence in
the scrim environment.
The scrims, yeah.
So, yeah, that's it. The next one is going to be previewing TL versus IG and G2 versus SKT. So, anything you want to say before you close out?
Stop making an intro. It's not going to work.